Ladies and gentlemen, Big Needles here, bringing you another video, Arma 3 Marksmen DLC Part 2. I'm going to show you the two pictures that I promised you from Part 1. The first one is another light machine gun. It's called the Navid. It's a 9.3. Looks more like an M240. And then the second gun that I'm going to show you is the classic M14. This is it here. It's 20 round magazine, 7.62. Same M14 from Arma 2, from Live, from multiple other games, and that's about it on the guns. And this video that I'm showing you now is from the dev stream they did earlier today, and showing the guns in action. So watch this video, enjoy that. I'll put the link to the full stream in the description, and that's about it. And you guys enjoy it, hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Also in the video, keep an eye out for the ghillie suits. They show the new ghillie suits, but they don't show them up close. They look freaking amazing. I can't wait to play the new Marksmen DLC. And also pay attention to the scopes. There's a few new scopes that they sneak in there. They don't really touch on them too much, but if you watch what they're doing closely, you can pick up some stuff. So anyways, enjoy the video, like, share, comment, subscribe. Have a good day. See you later.
Now we are in the arsenal. We can take a look at some of these weapons. I have some notes again from our sandbox team, because they just took a lot of time selecting the weapons and trying to make them characteristic. But if we could talk about them in general terms, we would say something like each of them has a certain reason to be. It has a certain characteristic. So maybe we can go through each one, take a look at it, fire it, use the sexy new reload animations, all that sort of stuff. So let's dig in. Maybe we could start with the Mar 10.
Okay, so this is the Mar 10.
So come on, let's hear it. What does it sound like? Cool. So this is a new weapon for the CTRG faction. So it's a NATO weapon, but it's maybe a little special compared to a bit more distinctive compared to the rest of the NATO weapons. It uses this huge new round, the Lapua Magnum. So it's big, it's strong, it's got a high caliber, and it's sort of inspired by the Noreen Bad News rifle. So we take some inspiration from various real life analogs, and this is what the guys have come up with. We can also see on the top here one of the new scopes. This is the AMS, and again there'll be one for NATO and one for CSAT, and the guys spend a lot of time picking out the most appropriate scope for the weapon itself.
So we're seeing lots and lots and lots of new weapons and new attachments as well.
Yeah, well, so the 5 rifles and the 2 machine guns. This is in addition. We have the ghillie suits and the scopes themselves. 2, one for NATO, one for CSAT.
So would you like to jump on to the next one then, sir?
Sure, absolutely. Let's maybe go to the EMR. Okay, again, it's a NATO weapon.
Just find this.
It's just up there.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is. So again, this is slightly different from the Mar 10. It has a bit of a better rate of fire. This one's inspired by something like a SIG DMR. And some of the little details, it has some. It's not like a brand new off the factory floor weapon. It's got a little bit of scratches. It feels. The guys really spent a lot of time adding, those splendid little details that make the weapons connect to the environment a bit more. Overall, it was a really fun process working with our sandbox team and the art team. I think a lot of the guys might have seen the concept art we worked on, and this was really fun to iterate and discuss and have arguments about which weapons should be there, how should they feel, what is the point of them, and in the end, we're really happy with the mix.
Yeah. So
let's move on to another weapon. So this is the second of the 5 rifles. Maybe we can switch it up a little bit and go to the MK14. This is like the antique rifle, I suppose we would call it, for 2035. Couple things. This is a brand new model. We've had this in Arma before in some of the previous iterations of our series, but this is built from the ground up. And why did we add it? Well, we're set in 2035, and we have a lot of brand new, modern, or even slightly futuristic weapon. But we wanted to go back and do something that maybe we were a bit familiar with. So this is a weapon for the FIA guerrilla faction. So you can imagine this weapon's been around for quite a few decades by this point. It's used by the low-tech local force, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favourite ones. I'm not exactly sure quite why, but it's just, I think it's something about the way I recognise it, and it's fun to play with.
I've got to say, I can just hear it through the headphones now that it's sat on the table. And single shot was good, but when I switched on to fully automatic, it got me grinning like a schoolboy, and I've just killed several of the AI.
Yeah, you be careful, because I'm not sure you've set it up so they won't shoot back at you if you kill too many of them.
Just got to be an expert marksman.
That's true. Maybe we can now go on to the CSAT weapons. There's some really cool stuff in here. So the Kier.
Do we want the black version, or
I think this will be fine. Yeah, maybe the guys watching the stream, if it's clear enough, you can see there are some camo variants, but maybe we'll leave you to explore these when we do the dev branching. More on that later. So the Kier. This is the first weapon we started with. We had this idea of we really liked the VKS or VSS weapons that exist now. We really like the idea of this, to have a silencer integrated into the weapon itself. That's not all. The sandbox team started out and they said we want it to be somehow special. So they gave it a huge caliber, and then they gave it a huge silencer. So it's not so effective in huge ranges, but if you're relatively close, it has definitely this interesting gameplay of being suppressed, but being able to really have some stopping power.
So if you're on the receiving end of it, you're going to have a really, really bad day.
You're definitely going to know about it, and I think we'll get back to that when we come to some of the audio features, like how exactly you will know you're being shot at. And we'll also touch upon, as long as we remember, this weapon sound effects overhaul. We might be able to already tell here the sound of the suppressed shot. It's well, in simple terms, it's a bit more authentic than what we've had previously. It's a little less Hollywood. It makes some sound, but it's not quite as much as something that doesn't have a silencer. So let's move on. Again, let's stick with the CSAT faction. Go to the Cyrus, maybe. Cyrus, the Smiley Virus. So the sandbox guys, they said they wanted to have something with big kicks and big recoil, and also some big stopping power, some serious caliber behind it, some 9.3mm. If I look at my notes here, we can say it takes inspiration from the Dragunov. Again, this was we had this argument about did we want to try and add the Dragunov itself as this antique weapon, or should we try and look at something like a modernized, up-to-date 2035 variant? So we went with the MK14 and then have this modernized Dragunov. And I think it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, you can see the new kickback.
Yeah, and also we can see maybe you caught it, the new reload animations. Each of these premium content weapons has received a lot of polish. So when there's a new caliber, you can see the ejected casing of it. When you reload it, we have special new reload animations for them. This maybe is just some small side note. For the longest time, we had this inability to show the ejected casings in first person. So this is when you shoot and you see the brass coming out the side of the weapon. We actually weren't able to do this before, but with our focus on the marksman weapons, it's now fixed. And particularly when you're firing the machine guns, which we'll get to later, you get this real sense of I'm firing a weapon, rather than just pointing at something on the screen. Let's move on to those machine guns then.
Okay.
So the first one, maybe we can, if we stick with CSAT, we can look at the Navid.
Let's try and get something that's
you can use. Bipods, oh my god.
So here we're seeing even different coloured bipods.
Yeah, let's touch on this. So in-game already there was some default bipod attachments. So they are still there. They're working out. But in addition to that, and this is platform content, this is free for everyone. You have new bipods, so one for each faction.
Yeah.
So they look different, and then also they have a little bit of different audio feedback, so it's a lot more characteristic. And then also they have some color variations, basically, to go with the camo patterns that are on the weapons themselves.
So just to touch on, you were saying about the platform content. With the weapons, how will that work for people that haven't bought the Marksmen DLC?
Yeah, well, this relates to our general approach to having premium weapons in the game for everyone. And the starting point is to say we don't want to have a situation where the community base is split between those who own it and those who don't. So if the first goal of our system is to have everyone playing together, then we can say we've achieved that.
Yeah.
And in Helicopters DLC, people that do own heli or that don't can play in the same mission with the vehicle there, and they can ride in vehicle cargo.
Yeah.
So with the weapons, you can have them in game, you can be shot at by them, you can see them in your teammates' hands, you can see them on the ground. But right now, our plan is to restrict access to them if you don't own them. Yeah. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the virtual garage and virtual arsenal, because this is a special part of the game where you can use the guns, you can try them out, whether you own them or not, and you can see if what you think about them. And if you like them, then you can buy a DLC, and if you don't, then they'll be in the game for other people, and you still benefit from the new features and the other free content that'll be in the game.
Yeah. So now for me to engage that rock.
Let's play the game.
Well,
I think what we're seeing here is obviously you're not deployed, you're not using a bipod or anything, and it'll be interesting when we get the Lord of the Bounce on the go to show us the difference in stability between shooting like this from the hip, which is very difficult with a huge weapon such as the Mavic, and shooting from a stabilized position.
yeah.
So let's go to the final NATO weapon, the SPMG.
Yep. So these things are still being worked on in the Marksmen DLC. Maybe that's a really decent point to touch on it.
Yeah, well, let's look at this first, and then I'll talk very quickly about dev branch staging. So this is the SPMG, something like the equivalent to the new CSAT weapon. It's slightly different. You can say maybe it's a little more accurate when it's deployed. It's definitely not meant to be shot from the hip. It's a huge weapon, but it's nevertheless a lot of fun if you plan to set up your firing position correctly. So, you can hear that the rate of fire is just a little bit less, but it's throwing some serious metal down range.
Yeah, those targets are surely getting it.
So that pretty much covers the weapons themselves. I mean, I think we'll continue to see them in action as we go through some of the other features.
Yeah.
So I briefly talked about dev branch. So this is the when you play Arma 3, you are normally playing on the default branch, what is now 1.40.
Yeah.
There's also a special development branch, and next week our plan is to stage this content onto the development branch. So that means people can jump in, they can play with the weapons, they can see all the bugs that aren't quite yet ironed out, and hopefully offer some feedback before we release it to everyone.
Okay, so I believe that Lord Bounce is going to help you show off some of the stabilisation.
I think so. I think he's been looking forward to it.
#bipod.